So we realized while filming this teacher video that we spent over an hour just talking about Elodin, so we decided to split it into 2 parts. So this is now part 2, all the other teachers and university content besides Elodin.
So if you want to see our discussion about Elodin, make sure you check out part 1. We'll link that below.
Okay, so here we go. Back to the past, starting with Lorren.
So, moving right along to some of the other masters. Alright, so up next we have Lorren, who is the Master Archivist. And the biggest question surrounding Lorren is he associated with the Amyr? That's like the biggest conspiracy or question that I feel like everyone has about Lorren. And personally, I find it kind of interesting that the first question that Lorren asks Kvothe in his interview when they first meet is, why did the Etern Empire collapse? And part of Kvothe's answer is, the church went into upheaval and denounced the Order Amyr, who were a large part of the strength of Atur. To me, it's suspicious that immediately they converse about the Amyr, like, the Amyr comes up immediately in conversation with Lorren, like, and I think it also said, Kvothe was like, he didn't ask anybody else these questions, so
He just saw him and was like...
Yeah, I don't know. Suspicion that he's I mean, maybe he asks all new students this, like, what do you think of the Amyr? You know, or like,
maybe.
not about the Amyr,
I need
but
to
like,
find out what your opinion is. What did I write? What did I write in my comment? Is he trying to judge Kvothe's opinion on the Amyr, his homies, or him, by asking this question?
Right. Like, I mean, was he trying to see if Kvothe would mention the Amyr when talking about the Empire or whatever?
Like, you know about the Amyr?
More talk about the Amyr is when, in chapter 38, when Lorren is telling Kvothe about them. And this scene is also very suspicious. Not only is it weird that Lorren just happened to be there right when Kvothe wrote in this book that he was looking for the Amyr, but then he like specifically pulls him aside to tell him that it wouldn't be smart to be asking about this. But, like, honestly, it almost seems like he's telling him he can keep looking into it, but not to let anyone else know that he's looking into it, because what he says is, I'm not accusing you of engaging in boyish fancy. I'm advising you to avoid the appearance of boyish fancy. Maybe he's saying, yeah, that is something to look into, but don't let other people know that you're looking into it, because, like, you gotta be secretive about it.
So what happens if other people know?
I don't know. Like, maybe if Kvothe had actually told him the truth about what he knew about the Amyr just to Lorren when they were alone, maybe Lorren would have actually confirmed it. Maybe Lorren was just like testing him in a way by telling him, here's the basic what everyone else knows about the Amyr, and being like, what do you think about that? You know, because Kvothe is like, oh, so they originated in Atur? And he's like, well, where else would they have originated? Like, that's what he says, which is not a confirmation, yes, they originated in Atur. It's like a, well, what do you think? Like, trying to gauge his, like, knowledge.
I feel like we've been thinking of it like Lorren is in charge of all of this, like he's in charge of the archive and he's with the Amyr and he's orchestrating all of this, but this kind of trying to see what he knows about it and trying to be like, investigate it on the DL. Maybe Lorren is like being controlled. That's why he doesn't want people to know about it, because he'll be in trouble. He's like answering to someone else, and that's why he's kind of like gatekeeping the information. Right. But it's not because for himself, it's like for someone higher above him.
Yeah. He's trying to make sure that
So it's not like he
people...
wants to be sketch about it, but he has to be, because maybe something bad will happen to him.
Right,
if he doesn't do what they say.
So he has to tell him to not make it look like you're looking into it, but still can if you want to, like, on the down low. Yeah, because then we also have this guy that shows up in chapter 61 who's like Lorren's Giller, supposedly, who apparently is also an Ademaru, which is weird just in itself. But this is the guy that he goes out and does acquisitions for the archives. But like what is the deal with this guy, honestly? Like, he's got like a sword and a knife or something. How dangerous of a job is acquiring these random books?
You gotta murder people for it.
Right, like what are you doing, really? Like, unless he's out here acquiring books about the Amyr from all these sketchy places for Lorren.
I mean, the Amyrs, they are all about murder, right? They're like, we can murder people if we want. if it's for the greater good. So
yeah. So it's
they need to go get all the info about the Amyr, or maybe about the Chandrian, but they're like just destroying it because there's no info about the Chandrian in the archive. So maybe they're the ones that are getting rid of it all.
Why would they be doing that?
I don't know, dude. Like, who wasn't Kvothe also asking about the Chandrian, and they were like, nah.
He didn't see. It's weird because he doesn't specifically say, "Don't look into the Chandrian." See, he writes Chandrian first, and the guy brings him like a kid's book about the Chandrian. And he's like, "This is trash." But then he goes back and he's like, "All right, how about the Amyr?" And then Lorren is like, "I see that you're looking for the Amyr. Like, stop it." So he didn't comment about the Chandrian.
No, because maybe he knows they don't have any info because he's destroying it all. So he's not worried that he's gonna find information about the Chandrian, but maybe there is information about the Amyr that he doesn't want him to get. So, because if the Chandrian are their enemies, maybe they don't want people to know information about them. Maybe they don't want people to think that the Chandrian are real, because then they would be afraid. Does the Chandrian want people to believe in them? That's what we said, right?
That was one theory, I think, was like, because they want people...
No one thinks that the Chandrian is real, right? Except Kvothe, because he saw them, and the Adem people. But like people in this land, they don't think that it's real, right? They think it's just a story. Right. So maybe the Chandrian, they want people to know that they exist. That will help them in some way. So then if the Amyr are the Chandrian's enemies, then they would not want people to know about them, because that will somehow harm the Chandrian and make them weaker.
Right.
If people don't believe in them. So maybe they're getting the info about the Chandrian and getting rid of it. They're the ones doing that, not the Chandrian. And they left the like random shitty book because they're like, oh, there's nothing helpful in here. That's okay. That can stay. Like there's not actual information in
like
it.
They have to keep the children's story books there because that's
so that you think that it's just a story.
Yeah.
It's a whole conspiracy apparently.
Could be.
Who's doing that? Is it just the Amyr? Who's in charge?
I don't know. Yeah.
Because I would say Lorren is in charge, but now I'm like, maybe he's not.
Yeah, maybe he's like the top Amyr. He's just like sent to the archives to deal with the archives, I guess. But he must also care about the archives in general, because he clearly cares deeply about the archives and is so upset when he tries to bring fire in there and he, never lets him back in.
Do you think they just recruit whoever the archivist is? Like,
maybe.
Oh, you got the archivist job, you need to do
maybe
all this shit too. And Lorren's like, oh, well, okay, I just liked books.
Yeah.
But all right, I guess I have to do this now. And that's why he's like, hey, don't let people know that you're researching this, but like, I don't actually care if you do or not, personally.
Yeah, right.
Because you would think if he was an Amyr, or he was like wanting to do that he would be like,
don't do it at all. Yeah.
Don't do it at all. It would be more like firm. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and less of this weird like
vague.
Yeah. I see. They need to recruit the archivist because the door is in the archives, and if the Amyr are trying to protect the door,
they need him on their side.
Right. So
do you think he could be like under threat or something? Like something
could
happen
be
to
if
him
that's
if he doesn't.
If that's the case.
Because they love murder.
But then we have the whole reaction that Lorren has about Kvothe's father in chapter 36. When Kvothe first says his father's name at the end of his interview, Master Lorren turned to look in my direction, blinking once. And like, this is from the guy who they continuously mention throughout the whole thing. They're always saying how he never has any reaction to anything, and he's like as unmoving as stone. Him hearing Kvothe's father's name and blinking, turning his head and blinking, is like more of a reaction than anything ever. So that's,
number one sketch.
So then after everyone else leaves, he goes down specifically to ask Kvothe. He says, "Did you say your father's name was Arliden? Arliden the Bard?" And then he says, "I was wondering which troupe he performed in." But that's all we get out of that, because Kvothe... Right, exactly. Like, we don't get an explanation because Kvothe is just, like, upset about having to pay money, so he just yells at him or whatever.
Dumb bitch!
But it's like... So apparently, there was this one interview that Patrick Rothfuss said that the reason for his reaction to Kvothe's father in this way was because he wanted Kvothe to confirm that Arliden was the writer of some of these random songs that he has in the archives. But, like, is it really that?
First
like,
of all, Lorren didn't even ask him. I mean, I guess he was getting yelled at, but, like, if he really wanted to know, he could have asked him at any point in time. When they're interacting at the school, he could have been like, oh, by the way, did your father write this song?
Right.
Second of all, random as fuck. Third of all, why do they have songs written by his father in the archive?
Yeah.
Like, how is that, like, academically significant in any way? Was he singing about the Amyr? Like, what?
Maybe he was. That's such a random answer. Like, I don't trust anything that Patrick Rothfuss tells me that's not written in the book itself, you know? Like, get out of here. It seems like there's got to be something else related to that.
If that's not real, then what actual significance would Kvothe's father have?
Right.
Some random ass bard.
Right. So this goes back to your conspiracy.
Yes, my conspiracy where they're trying to keep tabs on the lacklist.
Yeah.
So he knows, oh, isn't that the guy that lady married that she ran off with? Is that where I know that name from? And then my other theory was that Ben is spying on them. Because I was like, why would he have information about his father? And I was like, maybe Ben is involved and he was telling him. But I don't know why he'd be doing that to start with, so...
Well, I mean,
how did Ben meet them? Just in the road?
Yeah, I think so.
What if he's one of the people that gets the info? What are they called? What
like doing acquisitions. So what if Ben is another Amyr homie of Lorren's?
Yeah,
because we know
I'm saying. They sent him to go find her and like see what was going on, and he was telling Lorren about it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that Ben
Married
has
to this
ties to the university. That is very
He could have been telling Lorren what was going on. Like, married to this bard guy, have a shitty kid that I'm teaching.
So you're saying that when Ben left them, he knew that Kvothe was coming to the university at some point, because he was.
You know how? Wait. You know how they're like, oh, you're supposed to have like a letter of recommendation and like all this shit, and he's like, I've got this like signature from my teacher, and they were like, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they're like, oh yeah, Ben. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we know him.
He's one of us.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why.
Yeah, so like Ben left the Kvothe's family before everything went wrong, gathered his intel on Kvothe, and was like, yep, this kid.
Maybe
he'll get there eventually.
Because he was getting sent on another mission.
Yeah, so then he just had to go eventually report back to Lorren in the like 3 years between Kvothe's parents dying and him coming to the university. Old Lorren, like, here's what I got on Arliden. You know, he's got a kid that's coming soon. Like, he'll be here someday, so watch out for him. You know.
Did Ben encourage him to go to the university?
Yeah, so what he says in his letter is, defend yourself well at the university. Make me proud.
Defend yourself?
Yeah, but then earlier,
Who's he fighting?
Anybody.
What a weird thing to say.
Yeah, and then also saying, remember your father's song and be wary of folly. Like, what do you know, Ben? Like, why do you know the future, Ben?
What does Ben know?
I mean, he also knows that the Chandrian are real. Because that's what he's telling the parents. Before this, he has a whole conversation with them, and he's like...
He warned them, right?
Well, yeah, because the father was asking him, like, what do you know about the Chandrian? And he was like, well, here's what I know. And then he was like, but you shouldn't be talking about this, because they'll come get you. And he was like, nah, I don't believe that. And he's like, you're an idiot for not believing that. Like, why don't you believe that? So Ben knows... that they're real. So either he's one of them, or...
Maybe that is why he pieced out. He's like, oh, they're coming, I'm not gonna be there.
Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, so I mean, that is interesting that Ben knew he was coming. So
Ben
maybe...
and Lorren, homies.
Yeah.
So that means Ben is an Amyr affiliated.
Well, yeah, he could be. I don't know.
Could be. Any other reasons that Lorren would be interested in Kvothe's father?
Unless there's something about the father that we don't know about, that he has some connection to some other thing. Like, if Kvothe is getting the fairy blood from somewhere, is it the Lackless side or is it the father's side? I don't know, I feel like they make it seem like the Ademaru are like a family of performers that it's kind of like in your blood that you just do that forever. So it's probably he was just a performer forever.
Even though he has one that's a Giller.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so maybe he knew them.
Wait.
Where'd he get that guy from?
Wait a second.
He knows Arliden.
Yeah, okay. What's the deal with that? Yeah, his Giller is an Ademaru.
So
why?
Lorren has connection to Ademaru, maybe.
Yeah, he does.
Knows
apparently.
Arliden, knows this other guy.
Yeah,
Why is he
weird?
Why is he connected with them?
I don't know, what are the Ademaru really doing?
Yeah.
Are they really just performers, or is there some weird secret about them?
Is that it for Lorren?
Shall we move on? Those are the two main, discussion ones. Elodin and Lorren are
the ones that we have the
big
most
boys.
info. Or the most questions, maybe?
So next up, we have Hem, who is Master How do you say this word? Rhetorician?
Rhetorician.
Rhetorician.
Pocker Creek.
Anyway, what?
So, I mean, Hem sucks. He's awful. Absolutely awful. For some reason, he's really buddy-buddy with Ambrose. Because he's always defending him and putting him up against Kvothe, trying to get Kvothe more punishment. Why? Like, what is his connection with Ambrose? Is Ambrose paying him to, try and fuck up Kvothe? Like, are they in some cahoots?
Yeah, I'm gonna read my comment. Maybe he's in a conspiracy with Ambrose or trying to be in cahoots with him for political favor later on if Ambrose becomes the king. So maybe they're just in a conspiracy with each other. Like, Hem wants power, Ambrose wants power. He's gonna help him, become the king and get past all those 17 other people or whoever. And then Hem is gonna get in charge of the school, the Amyr.
Right.
I don't know if the school is the Amyr. He's already become the Chancellor.
Right, exactly.
And then I was like, are they poisoning the other guy? But then I was like, that plot literally already happens in this book. Why would they do that? Why would they do that twice?
I don't know, but it's real sketch that,
unless it would be cause for Kvothe to be like, wait a minute. I've been here before.
Yeah, right. I mean, but it's very sketch that of all people, it's Hem that becomes the Chancellor when other Chancellor gets sick. I mean, which I guess is just because none of the other ones wanted it. But, maybe he's actually, trying to do bad things while he's in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Or, maybe he's actually in league with the Chandrian and is gonna, help them gain access to the door. The Amyr are in charge of some of the university, but not all of them. Maybe Hem is actually on the Chandrian side and needs to get in control so that he can then know all the Chancellor secrets that, make everyone go crazy. Because, it's suspicious that the Chancellor gets sick when he's only, 40. What kind of sickness did he get that's suddenly so debilitating that they're like, oh, actually, it's really bad. And then Hem just happens to be the one that comes up next. But I mean, that's pretty much all the info we have about Hem because, he doesn't really do anything other than just be bitchy at everyone. So next we have Kilvin, who is the Master Artificer. And I mean, there's not really much about him either. He's a bro. Apparently his life goal is to make an ever-burning lamp, which I'm kind of like, why? What does that do? What is that? And what he says is there are legends that it's possible. In his country, in his, legends, there's legends that an ever-burning lamp exists. So it's just so he just wants to see if he can? Is there some purpose that it would serve? Is there some reason they would need that to fight the Chandrian? I don't know. To get into the door.
The Amyr need it.
If, you have to go through the door and a future technology doesn't work in there because it's the past. You need an ever-burning lamp that won't go out. I don't know. Through time and space. Into the past.
Into the fairy world?
The veil of the fairies.
Yeah, or that.
Is the fairy world the past?
I don't think so.
Could you enter the fairy world and you would be in the past?
I want to say you could.
Yeah. If you could go through the fairy worlds to get to the past. If you enter in this way, and then you enter out of a different way into the human lands, would you be in the past?
That's how it works.
So maybe they want to get something from the past.
What?
I don't know.
Maybe they need to go to the past and prevent the Chandrian from ever being created in the first place.
Or, I was gonna say the Chandrian, they don't want to be the Chandrian, so they gotta go get something that will stop it from happening.
Oh, the Chandrian want to do that? They want to go kill Santos before he curses them?
Yeah. Maybe Santos is what is it? What is
Valeritas?
Valeritas? Yeah, maybe that's him.
He is him?
Yeah. He's in there.
He's in there?
The Amyr want to keep him in there because they don't want the Chandrian to do that.
Why would they not want the Chandrian to not be cursed? Like, shouldn't everyone have this goal? Like, we should all have the same goal here. Like,
yeah, maybe it'll fuck up the world somehow. It won't just change that, it will change other things.
It's like the whole butterfly effect. Like, if you go back in time
That's why
and
they're
change
trying to
one
prevent
thing.
it. Yeah. And now everything's wrecked.
I don't know. We need Chandrian info, really.
Yeah, we do.
Apparently.
Comment down below if you want to see us talk about the Chandrian and all the information that we know.
Yeah. So, next is Arwyl. Arwyl, is that how you say his name?
Arl?
Anyway, Arwyl, Master Physiker, so he's in charge of the Medica. There's really no information about him. He's just a really nice, grandfatherly man, and he's just too good for this earth.
Grandfatherly man?
Yeah, I think it actually describes him as grandfatherly at some point.
You know who else he described as grandfatherly? Bredon.
No. Are you saying that Bredon is Arwyl?
No, I'm saying that doesn't mean he can't be Sketch if he was described as a grandfather. Because didn't someone say, like, because he said he's like a grandpa, that he's his grandpa?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't you say someone said that?
Yeah, someone did say that. Wait,
so does that mean Arwyl is also his grandpa? I don't think so.
No, I don't think the reason they said that is because he's grandfatherly. I think it's because he's Sketch and talking to him weirdly. Like he's in the city with the Lackless lady.
It said because he said he was grandfatherly. Maybe that means it's actually his grandfather.
I don't think that's why it said
did.
that. That's
like,
absurd.
That wasn't the whole thing.
That is absurd.
Becky,
do not.
I'm gonna Google this. Bredon could also be Kvothe's grandfather, as Kvothe has a skill to make snap judgments when meeting new characters that later turn out to be true. He describes Bredon as grandfatherly.
That's so stupid.
Becky, you showed me that! You showed me that! Anyway, my point was that if the wiki is saying he says that Bredon is a grandfather, then why did they say that about Arl if he's saying he's a grandfather?
It's just how you describe old men. He just looks like a grandfather.
What does the wiki for
grandfatherly traits?
Arwyl say?
Nothing.
Nothing?
It sure doesn't say maybe he's Kvothe's grandfather.
Who wrote that other one? Like, why don't they have the same theory?
I don't know why they would ever say that. Moving along, because Arwyl, there's no information about him. He's just a good man. Alright, next is Elxa, Master Sympathist. He knows the name of fire and one other, which is really cryptic. And he's also like, oh, it's not polite to ask people what names they know, so he doesn't tell him.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, do you not want people to know what names you know? Because then
apparently
maybe they
not.
would have, like, an advantage on you in
right. Yeah, I guess so.
Although I don't feel like these people are battling.
Well, I mean,
what are
I guess
you using naming for? What does he need to know? Name of fire. What's he doing with that?
I mean, depends what you're doing. Like, you could do anything with it if you know it.
Why did Ben say defend yourself at school? What's going on? Are they fighting? Are they in a battle?
Well, I mean, they do, like, sympathy duels. So, I mean, you can
use... for duels in the real world.
Yeah, like, I mean...
What do people do in this world? Like, what is their job? Like, you graduate from school, okay, you're an arcanist, what do? You're just a scholar? Like, what?
Yeah, or they go work for, like, a lord, I guess. Like, Cauticus was, like, working for Alperon.
What was he doing?
Giving him medicine, or, like...
Or, like, the mayor is just like, in case I ever need magic. If the university is secretly Amyr, then they're trying to, like, make soldiers that will help them fight. Okay,
so then Elxa also gives Kvothe the advice to take a term away from school by telling him that story about how, like, you can't learn everything from school. And then he says there's a kernel of truth hidden within the story where only the cleverest of students might find it. What does that mean? Like,
what's the story?
Well, okay, so the story is about this arcanist guy went chasing the wind for a while, and he eventually, like, comes to this lake, and he can't get across the lake, and so he sees this Edema Rue guy in a boat, and he's like, oh, like, can you help me get across this lake, or whatever. Talking about all this, like, book knowledge that he has, and he's like, blah, 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 like, do you know about this? Do you know about this? And the guy's like, no, like, I can't read, like, I don't know anything about anything. And he's like, wow, like, you suck, I'm so much better than you, you know? And then like a storm comes and the Dimaru guy is like, this is gonna get pretty bad. We gotta swim the rest of the way to make it. And the other guy's like, sorry, I don't know how to swim. And so it's like, well, guess you're gonna die then. Because so the moral of the story is you can't learn everything just from school. You have to go out into the world and experience things and like learn. There's some kernel of truth in there, and I'm like, does that mean it's about you? Like, is it about Elxa? Is he the guy?
He didn't drown, so.
Well, no. What is the kernel of truth? Like, it's very suspicious and cryptic, and I don't understand. But that's pretty much all I have about Elxa. Then, next we have Chancellor, who is Master Linguist. Apparently only in his 40s, yet still gets the suspicious illness. I mean, there's not really much about him either. He speaks Yillish, and he tutors Kvothe in it, so he starts teaching Kvothe Yillish, and, you know, Kvothe's like, well, he's a pretty chill dude, this guy. Like, he's actually pretty cool. Like, he's actually nice to me, like, sometimes in the interviews, you know, he'll be like, all right, everybody, like, calm down, like, stop all your yelling and stuff. Next is Brandur, again, here we go, Brandur? Master Arithmetician. So he's homies with Hem, apparently. They're buddy-buddy. He's always taking Hem's side whenever they vote on anything. And then the only other thing of significance that I can, like, remember him ever doing is after the Hem versus Kvothe trial thing, he and Hem leave the hall together, and he asks him why he wasn't wearing a gram. Like, Brandur asks him that. And he says, we should all take precautions, you know, as well as... And then it gets cut off because, like, they walk away and Kvothe can't hear them. Like, what a suspicious statement to make. Like, you're like, why weren't you wearing a gram? You know as well as I do that something's going on. Like, what are you
Whatever
taking precautions?
Whatever they need to defend themselves against.
Yeah, right.
Apparently.
What are you taking precautions about? Like, what do you know? So that's all I got on him, but it's a pretty suspicious statement,
but
honestly.
if he's buddies with Hem, and we're saying Hem is in a conspiracy, then he could be part of that conspiracy.
Yeah, probably. And then our last one is Mandrag, who is Master Alchemist. Literally, I know nothing about him. He never does a single thing, except it says in A Slow Regard of Silent Things that Ari was actually a student of his, and she was like, oh, Master Mandrag said this thing about this thing or whatever. Don't know what he's doing or whose side he's on, but yeah, who cares? Okay, so then to wrap up, some additional university content that I thought was a little relevant is the student terms that they use. So you've got Alir, it means seer, and it's people who can see things for what they really were. That's what Elodin says that means. Raylar means speaker, which is the next level. So people become Raylar by speaking words or names. Which, I mean, is not just naming, because plenty of other students are Raylars, you know, like Ambrose is a Raylar, but he's not a namer. So I guess that just means showing proficiency.
You can do magic good.
Yeah, in some area. And then the third one is Elthe, I don't know how you say it. Elthe.
What if it was originally just for naming, and that's why they're, like, speaking and stuff, but then they just expanded it to other things, because maybe naming is just the most ancient one. Yeah,
probably.
And then over time, they just added all these other disciplines to it.
Yeah, probably. Because he's telling him this, like, as he's explaining how the old university used to be or whatever. But, so the third one, Elthe, is, like, rumored to mean, I don't know if this is, like, a theory that exists in the world or what, but the theory would be that it means singer. The Chandrian in the beginning say they're, like, the singers are one of the things that they are afraid of, because what Haliak says is, who keeps you safe from the Amyr, the singers, the Sithe?
First of all, who the fuck is the Sith?
The Sith, isn't that the people that are guarding the Kvothe?
They're more powerful than the Chandrian. Is that what we're saying here?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They
just weren't there when Kvothe strolls on in.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that is
Where were they? Can you fight the Chandrian via singing? Is that why they killed everyone?
Naming through song or through singing. I don't know, like something. I don't know if that's why the Chandrian are killing all the... Like, I don't think it's just like the singer is just like any trooper that sings. I think it's more like namer that uses the naming in like this elaborate way that's like singing.
Is that why he's destined to kill the Chandrian, because he's a singer? already.
He's a singer that also sings.
And a namer.
Yeah,
so
he's a namer,
he's gonna
singer,
learn
and a
this
singer.
Namer singing.
Right. So then the last thing that I thought was significant is when Elodin is telling Kvothe about things, I don't know, he says, "Once upon a time, there was a university. It was built in the dead ruins of an older university." What does this really mean? Like, does this have to do with the whole, like, Underthing that Ari lives in that is...
Surely.
Like,
Surely.
fully constructed buildings underground.
It has to be.
Like, how and
Right?
why? Yeah, but like, how and why was there an original university that's now
what were they
underground?
learning in there?
I don't know. Like,
Why'd they get rid of it? Did the Amyr come and be like, "This is our school now. Gonna rebuild it"?
I mean, but it's not like they tore it down and rebuilt it. It's literally under the ground. Like, how did it get there? How did it, like, sink underground and then they just built a new one? Like, it's built on the ruins of an old university, but, like, the ruins are all still fully intact underground. Like, they're full-on rooms. Like, if you read A Slow Regard of Silent Things, like, she's going through all these rooms all the time, and there's, like, stuff in there. There's, like, beds and clothes and, like, random crap. And,
Abandoned. So you think, like, some disaster happened?
Maybe.
Of some kind?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there
I would
was,
think
like...
more that, like, people had to abandon it, like Chernobyl or something. They just had to leave immediately, and that's why
maybe.
they left all their shit.
And I feel like she also made it seem like sometimes people did go down there, like, currently, and, like, walk around. Because I feel like there was one part where she was, like, jumping on somebody else's footprints to, like, get into this room so that she didn't leave her own footprints so that they wouldn't know she was there or something. Like, I don't know who is going down there, and, like...
Elodin?
Is it, like, the university? Yeah, right, like, the university people?
Because it seems like the students don't really know about it, do they? Because that's why Ari's there. is
Yeah,
because no one
nobody.
knows that she's there.
I wouldn't think that anyone would know about it except for Kvothe. And it also has access to the archives.
Maybe they opened the door in the past and it fucked that whole area and they had to close it and be like, alright, I'm not doing that again. And then they just had to, they were like, what? Let's just make a new building.
You know, that's my final question is, what is this Underthing?
What happened to University 1.0?
Yeah, exactly.
Why did they make another one? That's probably one of my biggest questions.
Yeah. Well,
At the end.
that sure is the end. Alright, well that concludes our thoughts about the University Masters 2.0. It's part 2, I guess. Thank you for watching. Let us know if you have any thoughts or comments or additional conspiracies to add on to any of this. If you enjoyed this video, check out our other Name of the Wind conspiracy videos.
I guess we're gonna have to put them in a playlist at this point.
Let us know if there's another topic you want to hear us talk about.
Comment if you want a Chandrian video.
Yeah, that's what's next. See you next time.